Hello scholars, and welcome to episode 3 of Lore Academy. For the next couple of episodes, we will be covering the different enemy species in this system. In this episode in particular, we'll be covering the Vex. Let's get right into it. Before the universe was created, the dark and light existed as paracausal forces that could be described as a gardener and a winnower. They manipulated abstract patterns that could be described as pieces in a game. This game always ended the same, and this caused conflict between the light and the dark, which led to the universe as we know it being born, with the light and dark being placed into it as the rules of said universe. But one of the patterns that had previously won in the game managed to escape into the universe as well. In the initial hot state of the universe, the abstract patterns existed as quantum fluctuations, before eventually creating a more stable substrate for themselves in the briny seas of the first worlds to form. These patterns manifested as microscopic silica-based organisms called Radiolaria, though most Guardians just call it Vex Milk. This white Vex Milk is what you see in the metallic frames of the Vex, typically in the abdomen or wherever their critical spot is. These microscopic organisms work together to become a sort of living computer, for lack of a better term. Despite this, they do not possess consciousness as far as we can tell. Instead, they think in more direct ways. Clovis Bray, a famous Golden Age scientist, explained Vex thought as follows. I note that Vex Milk, while computationally powerful, seems to avoid semiosis. That is, it prefers to mimic the actual dynamics of phenomena rather than assigning a symbol. This is a fundamental difference between Vex cognition and our own. We encode inputs as symbols, manipulate the symbols according to some set of logical rules, and then produce output. The Vex are more direct. Burn them and they will extinguish the fire, not because they possess a symbolic knowledge of fire and its properties, but because their structure is so suited to adaptation and survival that the heat of the fire directly becomes the response required to snuff it out. Rather than encoding symbols, they generate self-sustaining and self-correcting patterns, which, like the suspension of a bridge flexing under strain, can accept destructive input and produce repertory output. Each individual Vex, which is to say a single frame's Radiolaria, processes information and shares it to a greater network that all the Vex work through. Processing information is the Vex's strength, and is what allowed them to master the causal rules of the universe. You see, something like a Vex goblin does not possess much processing power, but a larger Vex mind can be capable of simulating something with incredible accuracy. This is what makes the Vex so dangerous. They can predict things so well that they are able to find a path to a future where they always win. The Vex have even transformed entire worlds into massive computers with the ability to simulate entire timelines at once. But this ability to predict is just one half of what makes the Vex so dangerous. Their greatest strength lies in their ability to manipulate time and space. The Vex have shown the ability to teleport anywhere in space and time. This means that Vex from the future are able to teleport back in time to fight us, and the same goes for the Vex in the past. We do not know much about how the Vex manipulate time besides secluded experiments like the Vault of Glass, which will get its own video, but what we do know is that there is some sort of limitation on it, as if there wasn't, the Vex could just send a goblin back in time to kill the first human, and then we would never exist. Based on other examples of time travel in the lore, I think one limitation is the fact that multiple timelines exist. This would mean that they are not necessarily traveling back and forth in time, rather they're traveling horizontally across different timelines. So, now that you know what the Vex are capable of, what are their goals? The Vex have only one goal, the pattern. They want to become the final shape of the universe. They spread, and if they find something that is not Vex, they turn it into Vex. They make it fit the pattern. If it cannot be made to fit, It is destroyed entirely. So, why is it that we have been able to fight back against a force as powerful as the Vex? The Vex have one weakness. They have mastered everything causal, but something paracausal, like the light of a guardian, they have no counter to. They cannot predict it, they cannot simulate it. The best they can do is lure something else paracausal to fight in their stead. This is how we are able to resist the simulation of the Vex's guardians. Our power simply does not make sense to them. So, with this in mind, go out and push the Vex out of our system with the knowledge you have gathered here today. That's what you need to know about the Vex for this episode. There are more specific things I wish to cover in the future about the Vex, like the Vault of Glass, but until then, keep studying. I'll see you later, scholars.